Welcome back. I'm Fiona Mboa here at Church of Uganda Family TV with Ring Diaries. And before the break, Babra was telling us about adoption and how it's a possibility, even all of us here, that we can be able to change a child's life by a simple decision that you make. And we're going to continue with this conversation, Babra. Now, for us as married people, first of all, we've seen that there's a tendency of thinking, I'm bringing a stranger into my home. How can we step in to help? One, the children that maybe are in such homes, like Sanyo Baby's home, but also how do we step in and help these children in the way of adoption?
Well, adoption is a unique and very sensitive topic for families, for marrieds. We have had many couples come on board and they have successfully adopted and they are happy. However, as marrieds, this is a discussion that you have to do as husband and wife. Pray about it and be convinced that you are ready. Because you don't just want to come and adopt because Fiona's talked about adoption and said people come and adopt and you're not yet ready emotionally, mentally, physically. You must be ready to embrace and love this child as your own, even though the child didn't come from your tummy.
Actually, Barbara, before even you tell us that, are there stories, for some of our viewers who are saying these are all hearsay, are there stories of people who have actually adopted and they have had a good story?
Oh, yes. And for viewers out there, if you want to see these people and if you want to hear into their testimonies, on 7th of March, at Hotel Africana from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. we have a very exciting conference. The first of its kind. Sanyo Baby's Home has worked together with a group of passionate and dedicated adoptive parents. These are parents that have already adopted. Some of them have 20-year-old adopted children, 25-year-olds, 19, 13, 5, 3-year-olds, and they have come together to celebrate adoption, to have discussions around adoption. And this conference, we are planning to have 200 people in attendance physically, but we also open it up for people to join online.
So these are 200 people that have adopted?
Yes, Ugandans. And we are also inviting, some have adopted, others are fostering and are going to adopt. And so it's for adoptive and prospective adoptive parents. But we are also inviting the media. We are going to invite Family TV. We are inviting the lawyers to give guidance, guidelines. But we're also inviting government, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. We are inviting the probation officers. We are inviting the family court, the family division court, so that they can give guidance. How do we go about matters of adoption? So it is very possible. We have lots of people that have adopted, and we also have lots of adopted children that have come out to say, look at what God has done in my life. I was abandoned, rescued from a garbage heap. I was at Sanyo Baby's Home, but then I got a family. I am who I am because I have been able to grow up from a family. We have such people, and they are going to be present on that day to give testimonies to share. Wow. But also, we have many people out there. Maybe it could be you, or it could be you out there, and you are probably adopted from Sanyo Baby's Home, but you do not know. Because I have told you, Sanyo has been in place since 1929. Lots of children have passed through Sanyo Baby's Home. And where do they go? In your families out there. And maybe your dad and mom came for you at day 1, or maybe 2 months old or 3 months old, and adopted you. And you got an opportunity of growing up within that family. And you're proud to say, oh, this is my biological dad. And yet Kumbe, you are adopted. Yes, think about that. And
we need to question our parents.
We know that many children are out there, many adults have been adopted, have grown up within families,
and they're successful.
And they are very successful. So adoption is very possible. And we are encouraging you Ugandans out there. Prayerfully think about giving an extra child a family. This is not something for only those that are struggling to have biological children.
But
Adoption,
actually, on that point, Babra, for people who are struggling specifically to have biological children, what would be your word about adoption?
when a couple gets married, the next thing they are hoping and praying for
It's
are
children.
children.
Yes.
And sometimes our ways and plans are not God's plans.
That's true.
So sometimes things don't happen the way we want them to happen. I have many friends, relatives that are struggling, and they have waited, some have waited for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they can't have a biological child. Maybe you're one of them out there, and day in, day out, you cry yourself to sleep because you're not conceiving, because you're not getting a biological child. Maybe God wants to speak to you this evening to consider opening your family to adoption.
Doesn't it seem like you've given up faith on God if you
Oh,
adopt?
no. Let me tell you, I have stories of parents that have come into Sanyu Babies Home, couples that have come into Sanyu Babies Home after waiting for 15 years, 10 years, 20 years without a biological child. And the moment they have adopted a child, they conceive and get a biological child, not one biological child, not two biological children. We have families that have come out to testify that for 10 years we waited for a biological child and the child didn't come until we adopted. Then God opened our womb and we started getting biological children. So coming to adopt is actually not giving up. It is another step of faith you're taking.
Okay.
It is another step of faith, and you're telling God, yes, I can parent a child, whether my biological child or adopted child, I can parent a child. And we have seen many families that have come out to adopt, and eventually God blesses them with biological children.
Because I've had people say, if I adopt, then I've given up the faith of believing God for my own child.
No.
So we need to be able to go out and adopt a child.
Yes, whether you're still trusting God for a child, come. I don't know how true this word is. Some people say, I'm here, I'm testing God. I have prayed and now I'm convinced this is the only test I have to do. If I pass it, God is blessing me with a child. And people have adopted genuinely and in love. They have taken these children, they have brought them up as their own, to a point that one couple came and told me, the mother told me that, Babra, I sometimes forget who is adopted and who is not adopted. It feels like all these children came from my tummy. She adopted and eventually got her biological children, but she says that it feels like all these children have come from my tummy. I even forget that I adopted this child.
Wow, that is beautiful.
Yes.
So is adoption, should it be just for those people who are not conceiving? Or if I already have my children, my 4 or 5 children, can I still also come and adopt a child?
Oh, sure. Even if you have 10 children, there is a time, there was a show way back in 2009, it was on Untold Story, UBC, and we're talking about adoption. So the following morning, on a Monday, this couple walked in. They didn't come in as a couple. It's the husband that first walked in, and he said, I watched the show. I have 9 children. I want to give thanks to God for helping me raise the 9 children. So I'm here. I want to adopt 1 extra. So I have 10. 9 biological children. And they came in and took an extra child.
Wow.
Couples have come in with 2 biological children, and then they take a 3rd adopted children, 5 biological children, and they take another adopted child. There is a lady, she was a widow and had 12 children, but one of her child passed away. And so she said, no, I want to go in and adopt a child so I have my 12 children again.
Wow.
So widow, now 11 children, and then adopts a 12th child. So this is something that can be done by families that already have biological children and those that don't have biological children yet. Maybe you've just gotten married and you want to consider adopting a child first, and then you can get your biological children. It doesn't mean that you only have to come when you have failed. No. This is one way of giving back to God. We have seen corporate companies giving back to community, but as an individual, as a family, how are you going to give back to God? Yes, we give offertory in church. We help the widows. We help the orphans wherever they are. But maybe God wants to use you, give back to Him through His children at Sanyo Babies Home and in many other child care institutions. Maybe God wants you to take one and adopt. And I say that even if you're not yet ready to adopt, from the many resources God has given you, maybe He wants to use you to come and be a blessing to the children at Sanyo Babies Home, because for the 95 years, Sanyo relies on support of people like you out there. There is no single organization or institution that funds us on a regular basis. The donations you come are what keeps us going. But just imagine what it means taking care of 50 babies at a time from birth to 4 years old. Today, if we when we look at baby formula for only the small babies from birth to 6 months old, we need 6 teens to take us through 24 hours. Today, one teen goes for 40,000 shillings. And in 24 hours, we need 6 teens to take us through a day. That is just baby formula. I've told you that many of the children come when they are in desperate need of medical care and attention. And wherever we take them, we pay. We pay huge amounts of money if our child is to undergo a surgery. Even if we are to just do a small test. Some of them come in with heart problems, and doing an echo at Mulago Hospital is expensive. Doing an MRI of a child that has a problem with their brain is expensive. Doing a scan is expensive. So all that requires support of people like you. So as we think about adoption,
let us think of ways we can
support these children. The ones that are still living in childcare institutions, but also we think about ways of adopting them in our families, giving them a family.
Okay, thank you, Babra. So for people out there who are saying, me, I want to adopt, but my husband does not want, what do we do?
When we go to church to get married,
we become
one. And therefore, the same way we become one and start getting biological children because we are one, is the same way we must approach the topic of adoption. You have to be one. We have met many couples, many individuals wanting to adopt, but their spouses are not yet in support. And all we have to say to them, go pray about it. Pray for your partner, pray, and also talk about this topic. Because there is no way, Fiona, we can deal with you as a married woman, but then we are looking at you alone for adoption. That is not possible. So if you are married, we want the entire family to come. Convince your partner, come as husband and wife, and then you will walk the adoption journey together as husband and wife.
Okay. If now my husband is on board, but the other family is not.
Well, if your husband is on board, it takes just the two of you to have your biological children. So it takes the two of you to have the adopted children because you are adults. You are married. If the two of you have made a decision that this is what we want to do, I don't think at this point you need to get consent from your grandparents from the entire clan. No. Because your parents gave you out and blessed you to go and get married. So you became one with your partner. You are now husband and wife. And as husband and wife, you sit and plan, okay, we will have 2 biological children and 1 adopted child. Or we will have 2 adopted children. This is how we are going to raise up our family. So that is ideally how it is supposed to be. However, it is also important, even as you adopt, to enable, to support, to I don't know what the right word should be, but you want your family,
You need to enlist their
your
support.
extended family to eventually recognize
This person, yes.
this child as
As
part
yours.
of your children and as part of your family. Because at the end of the day, it is you and your husband, but then in Uganda we have a tendency of having family meetings, and you
Yes.
bring all your children together. You don't want, at that point when you're introducing your family, your 4 children, and then when you mention this one as so and so Mbo, and the entire family is like, what?
Who is
No way, that can't be possible.
Hmm.
So it is important that the entire family eventually gets to
On
know
board and
this child as an adopted child, but also as part of the family, and having equal rights with your biological children.
wow, interesting. And for our viewers, I hope you've been able to understand the things that we need to do, one, to adopt, but also to realize that adoption is for everyone. But lastly, how about the singles? They've always said, there are these things they say, if you're single, you cannot adopt. And yet I've seen people who, being single is actually like they're okay being single, and they don't want to get married, but they want a child.
Yes, adoption is for everyone. And like I told you, that it is, as long as you're above 25 years old, then you can consider adoption. So single and singles can also adopt. We have worked with many single fathers and many single mothers, and they have adopted and are happily parenting their children. Some of the single parents we are working with have probably waited on the Lord for a marriage partner, and time is running out, and yet they want to parent, so they come and consider adoption. But we've also worked with single parents who were once married, but because of infertility challenges in their marriages, the marriages didn't work out. They broke up, they divorced, but one of the partners is interested
Really
in
wants a
parenting.
child.
So they come and they adopt children. But we've also had single people who are not yet married. They haven't given up on the hope of getting married, but they're like, I'm ready. At this point, I'm ready. I can parent as I work towards getting married. So even singles can adopt.
Can adopt. Okay, interesting. And as we conclude, Babra, for our viewers out there, what is the last call for our viewers, but also people on 7th of March, let us go to Africana, I think those who can, and let us learn more about adoption. It's not just for the whites, it's for all of us. Let's go learn about it and share Christ's love out there with a child that actually needs it. So what is your parting shot to our viewers about adoption, and especially those who are married or those who are intending to get married? What would be your advice about adoption?
Oh, well, before the advice, I want to let you know, all our viewers, about the 7th of March conference. It is going to be, physical attendance is going to be by invitation, but in case you're really, really interested, we've already drawn up a list of people we are going to invite, but in case you're interested and you want to learn about adoption, please contact us at Sanyu Babies Home, but you can also take my number. It is 0788 162 147, so that we share details, because I told you that we'll also have attendance online, but we also still have a few slots for physical attendance. And to the marrieds out there, to the couples out there that are praying for maybe this is a topic you've always talked about. You've talked about adoption as a couple and you don't know how to go about it. I'm just encouraging you that now that this has come up to you and you've listened into adoption and how you can go about it, maybe it is time you consider visiting Sanyu Babies Home or making that phone call to get further details on adoption, and that way you will be able to open up your family to give a chance to a child that doesn't have a family to be able to belong to a family, and being able to give them hope to belong to a family. Yeah, so I'm encouraging you, plan to come, plan to contact us. We are many institutions in Uganda caring for children, and many institutions have opened up to have their children adopted. And the key person in this whole topic of adoption is your area probation officer. You might be very far away, maybe you're in Barara or Bushenyi or Bujiri, and you're wondering, how do I get to Sanyu Babies Home? Please visit your district probation officer, and they will share details of how you can go about adoption. But this is something very possible, and you will be able to give a life and give hope to a child that doesn't have a family.
Wow, thank you very much, Babra. And as we conclude, how about the giving you were talking about? Can anyone just walk in and bring something?
Oh, our dear viewers, you're welcome to visit physically Sanyu Babies Home to bring in your gifts. We accept cash gifts, but we also accept gifts in kind. Gifts like baby formula milk, diapers, rice, sugar, baby soya, jik, washing powder, all items you literally use at your home. We also need them at Sanyu Babies Home. But you can also choose to give a donation in cash. We have mobile money. You can send your donation via mobile money, or you can wire your donation directly to Sanyu Babies Home bank account. We have a website, Sanyu Babies, www.sanyubabies.com. We are also on social media. Please follow us, and we'll be happy to hear from you. And if you want to speak to me, my number is 0788 162 147. I'll give you details of how you can support the babies and details of how you can adopt. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Babra. And for our viewers, I really hope you have picked something today. I think I need to adopt, but that we'll discuss later. But for our viewers out there, do not hesitate thinking this is something way out of range. It is something you can do, as you've heard people are doing it and they are happy and they're raising happy children. So let us also do this. Let us help them. If you cannot adopt, as you've heard, you can walk in, support in any way. But let us make our marriages better and fruitful by blessing a child there. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for being on Ring Diaries. This is Fiona Mbowa. God bless you.